A Rokrbox is an old gold mining tool used in the 19th century for separating sand and gravel from gold.
Hmm.
And essentially, that's what Rokrbox is nowadays in the 21st century. We're an online real estate service that's used to connect serious and motivated buyers and sellers with highly reliable and successful realtors. The void that we filled was just work that is normally piling up on a real estate agent's desk that doesn't get done. And
Hmm.
so it's, something that's been needed in the industry for quite some time. And it's just one of those tasks that gets moved lower and lower on an agent's priority list throughout the day. But
Right.
it's essentially one of the most important pieces of your sales operation is making sure that you're actually converting your inbound leads. So again, it was a void that existed in the industry just because it was work that was already on the agent's plate and they just weren't getting to it. So that's why we
Yeah.
kind of sprang to action 3.5 years ago and started Rokrbox and started building out that solution so we could scale it and share it with as many real estate teams across the country that need it. The first 12 to 18 months was really just trying to prove out the model. We knew that there was a problem that existed, but we
Hmm.
had to try to create a solution that was scalable and duplicatable. And so that was what the first 12 to 18 months really what took part in was just a lot of thousands and thousands of phone calls and seeking out the advice and guidance from some of the more successful real estate teams that had successful inbound response teams and just trying to model what they were doing and learning from our own trial and error. And as I always say, you want to fail fast, fail cheap, and fail forward. And that's exactly what we did. But it was really just about 2 years ago that we really finally had a scalable solution that we were ready to take to market. So that was January 2015. And we started going out to the conferences and started making it known that we had a solution to help people convert more of their online leads. And 2 years ago, it was myself, two part-time assistants, and three beta clients. We service over 70 different real estate teams across the country.
Wow.
And we have over 30 part-time employees. And we have 6 full-time members on our executive leadership team. Yeah, so our secret sauce is the fact that we're right across the street from Texas A&M University. And that's the reason why we're located here in College Station is because we can get really, really sharp, energetic, and enthusiastic, young, talented individuals in an area where there's not too much job opportunity here for them to invest in their, the next steps of their career. So this is a great opportunity because they have time to come in, actually learn some skills in sales and entrepreneurship and, and technology and
Right.
marketing a little bit. But it gives them some real on the job experience before they step out into whatever post-graduation career they want to get to. We have a very slow hiring process. And so in order to keep the quality of the talent at the rate that we want to, but also being able to service the demands of all of our new incoming clients, we just need to consistently have a never-ending hiring process where we're always bringing in talent. And we're also, looking for part-time college students. So eventually they get their degrees and they graduate and they move on. But to answer your question a little bit elaborately here, yes, part-time that's our secret sauce is
Hmm.
high energy, smart, enthusiastic college kids that are wanting to grow themselves as young professional. But what's great is that we've actually had a handful of people who started out with us part-time and we're a client care representative. And as the company has grown, they've been able to fill more roles, in the executive leadership team. There's a certain ratio that you need to have as a successful business of, for each person, how many people are there that answer to how many people that answer to how many people. So there's a natural pyramid that starts to grow. And so with everybody starting on that base foundation of being a part-time client care rep, as the company has grown, we've had people just naturally move up into client care senior positions, client care supervisor positions. We have someone who's in a full-time onboarding and support manager role. We have people that are being mentored in our sales development program to become prospectors for us. One of our team members that was actually one of our first handful of client care representatives. He's still with the company today, and he's actually a full-time account manager. So he's
Wow.
actually spending all of his time bringing on new accounts and maintaining the relationships with the existing accounts that we have. And he'll be out traveling with us as well in the coming months. What we're looking for is, and I understand some people are looking for it while they're in college. So looking for that job that you show up, you clock in, you pull out your homework, you go through some notes, you clock out, and you get a paycheck for some reason. That's absolutely not what we're looking for. And so that's why our hiring process is very selective. So we can hopefully identify that with, many different triggers along the way. But it starts with people sending us their resume. We do a brief review of the resume just to see, what some of the past positions that they've held, and, just some things that people look for from an employer to looking at potential employees is, especially for a college student, have you held a job while you were in college? And did all of your jobs start in August, end in December, then start back up in January and end in May? Because that's not what we're looking for. So looking for that in the resume, we actually reply back to the resume with a simple email explaining kind of what our hours are and what the expected availability is. Actually send them a link to take a DISC profile. And the DISC profile is a pretty famous personality assessment out there. There's one for free on Tony Robbins' website. All of our client care reps they're not client facing, but over the phone we are in a sense. So what we're looking for out of that DISC profile, and there's nothing right or wrong about your personality, right? But what we're looking for in this role is, someone who is the life of the party. There's never an awkward moment. They love to carry on conversations. They've never met a stranger. And that's normally demonstrated by someone having a higher I, which is that influencer, someone who likes to be a coach or a mentor, or someone who can, help people through treacherous, decision-making processes. So sort of natural personality built into them, because that stuff really, there's some things that just can't be trained. And so we want to make sure that they come to us with the right personality style. Then at that point, someone from our hiring department reaches out and conducts a very brief phone interview. And what we're looking for in the phone interview, again, is just confirmation of that availability and some, simple questions like your motivation for applying, and a couple basic questions about their availability. And if things look good, then we'll actually schedule them with an in-person interview. I still handle all the in-person interviews. Over the course of my career, I probably hosted and conducted or participated in probably about 2,000 or 3,000 interviews. So our questions are really simple. And, just to kind of let you peek behind the curtain, the questions are designed in a way to be thought-provoking, because again, a lot of the stuff that we do out here isn't always perfectly as planned all the time. It's all about how you can react and adapt and act on your toes and think on your toes. So a lot of the questions that we ask through the interview are hopefully questions that you've never heard in another company interview. And it's designed that way because we want to see how you react. The rest of the interview is just to confirm that decision. I mean, you never get a second chance at a first impression. So literally those first couple of questions is where it's at. And at that point, I'm just basically getting to meet this person, getting to know who they are a little bit better. And at that point, we know who's going to be a good fit. But here's the last most important step that we have in our interview process, which makes it so selective, is after we've determined that the resume looks good and it checks out, their personality profile fits the ideal person who would be good at this type of work. They've conducted a phone interview, and now they've conducted an in-person interview. I can tell if someone would be good at the type of work that we do, but we don't make the decision yet. What we do is we actually invite them back for an observation. And what we do is we schedule a full hour that they'll be actually out on our call floor, working with our most senior call rep on the floor, and they're going to basically give them the full tour. And so what we always tell them is this is their interview of us, right? We already know that they're going to be a good fit for us. Now we need to know if we're a good fit for them, right? And so culture is a really big thing for us here in the office. And I mean, we built a competitive, fun, productive work environment. And so we have to make sure that people are ready to match that level. And again, like we said, we are not looking for that person who's ready to clock in, do a little homework, clock out, and get a paycheck. We're looking for people that are ready to clock in and be, very committed to doing their work and investing themselves and improving themselves and working on honing their craft and working on their skills. So that last observation is probably the most important piece of the interview, because again, they get to spend an hour seeing the calls that we make, the technology we use. They even get to see how one of our shifts starts with a huddle. Again, I've always been a big culture guy. I think I probably wrote up our core values on an airplane ride on a notepad. It's very important for me. I actually go spend time on campus speaking to some of the entrepreneurial groups and try to share with them, our message and our story and then the lessons learned from our journey. But one of the things that I always say is that, before you even begin to start a venture, start a business, or start to create a solution to some problem, like you have to make sure that your goals are very, very well, clearly established. And so that's why I'm saying, like, before Rokrbox even got off the ground, I was on a flight to go visit a high producing real estate team to do some consulting work with them. And I scribbled out right there on that flight, like exactly what I wanted to the company to look like when it had 50 or 100 employees. And there I was, it was just a me, myself, and I operation with an idea in my head and some notes scribbled out on a pen and pad. But as we've grown, in order for me to have an impact on that, right, like nothing happens here accidentally. Like there's always a purpose for everything. As soon as the team got as large as 3 or 4 part-time employees, the thing was they were helping me out to cover more of the week than I could cover. So there wasn't a lot of overlap between them. And so it literally started with just a, one pizza. One pizza could feed all 4 of us, and we would just time block 1 hour out of each week that we could all meet up. And like I said, a whole pizza would feed us all, and we would have a mastermind session. And I called it a mastermind, not a meeting, because again, I knew that the only way that the company had survived the 12 to 18 months up to that point was just from, my own trial and error and failing forward and failing cheap and failing fast. Well, now I had 3 other people on the team. So I knew that in order to continually improve the product and the service, that we needed to get everybody's insight and feedback. And maybe someone might discover a problem that somebody else doesn't see as a problem. And maybe someone else might have a better solution that somebody else had never really thought of. So that was when our first mastermind was born a little over 2 years ago. And so we've been very, very strict about scheduling those every single 3 weeks for the last 2 years. And so now they've actually grown to where we have to take everybody out here in the parking lot to a Mexican restaurant out here. And we block off the whole back VIP room. And, now it's like 30 part-time employees and 6 full-time employees. Not everybody can make it to every single mastermind, but I think we've had easily our last mastermind last week was like 30 something people. And so it's a cool experience because whether you just started yesterday or whether you've been here for 2 years, we basically go around the room. We open up by everybody having an opportunity to state one of our core values and then acknowledge someone in the room who's lived by those values. And then after everybody's covered the core values, we go around the room and every single person in the company, again, whether you've been here since the very beginning or whether this is your second day, every single person gets an opportunity to identify one point of strength and one point of opportunity. And again, it's great to see when you have 30 different eyes and ears and you actually appreciate people's opinions and their insight matters and counts. It's amazing what you can come up with and things that you hear and the redundancy of certain topics. It kind of shows you what's important, what's not important. So that's our mastermind. That's a totally cool concept. And again, the company buys everybody dinner every 3 weeks. I understand, again, we're working with part-time college kids here. So they've got extracurricular activities, they've got tests, they've got exams, they've got boyfriends and girlfriends, and they've got all the stuff in life, right, that doesn't necessarily consume up all 168 hours a week. So we understand we're just borrowing a portion of their time throughout the week, but in order to make sure people come in and they can leave all that stuff in the parking lot and come in here and be ready and committed to have a great shift, we start each of our shifts off with a huddle. And the huddle really covers 4 things. There's recognition. So we talk about our numbers from the previous day and recognize some top performers. There's education, where we basically share any new policies or procedures or just reminders of things that we need to make sure that we're communicating consistently company-wide. And then we also have a connection card. So we have these little a deck of cards that are like dinner party starter, conversation starters, but it's just fun. Everybody gets an opportunity to go around and share what your favorite cereal is, or some of them even get deeper. Like we had one yesterday. It was like, what are you most surprised about at this point in your life? And, you really learn some cool things about people, about where they're at in their life and what they're surprised that they've accomplished up to this point. So you get the really cool way to connect with each team member on that shift, but also since we're all part-time, we have so many different overlapping shifts. So it's a really cool opportunity for people to connect with each other and kind of get to know a little bit more about each other. And then the last thing is motivation. So now that we've all come together and kind of gotten all the news and all the fun rah together, we want to just kind of set our goals for the shift. And again, I talked about that. That's important in entrepreneurship. It's important in any type of role. Being able to set a goal and then hold yourself accountable and have a group hold you accountable to achieving those goals is a really, really important skill that people learn. So just in a 4-hour shift, we have people set a goal for how many opportunities they want to identify. And then as you can see right over here in the corner, there's a gong right there. And so as people identify opportunities, they go over, they ring the gong. A lot of cool stuff. And then we do quarterly one-on-ones where, I mean, even though we're having a mastermind, even though we're having huddles, we still force everybody to come into the conference room once a month, one-on-one, and share with us, what they think is going on with the company. But more importantly, since we're trying to home grow our own talent, we want to know kind of where they're at in their lives, where they're at in achieving their degree or getting into their master's program or whatever that might be. And then do they see a potential career with Rokrbox? And so we're literally having every quarter, we're having that same conversation with every single employee in the companies. Where do they see themselves growing long-term with Rokrbox? It really doesn't matter what your major is. We do notice some tendencies just because, we have existing employees that'll refer their friends. And so a lot of their friends are in the same majors, but we have a lot of business students. There's also a master's in real estate program here at Texas A&M. And I think currently we have 3 people on staff that are in that program. So we literally have people who are getting their master's in real estate, answering phone calls and identifying who's a serious and motivated buyer and seller. We do also have some majors in communications. There's also a degree plan called industrial distribution, which is, we're a big engineering university, but it's sort of sales in engineering. And so we've got a lot of people that are in that field that work for us as well. So, I mean, there's absolutely no discrimination based upon a degree plan or degree type. We do just notice some, consistent trends that kids in business are also interested in real estate, or kids that are interested in, management or marketing would want to get some sales experience. So there's a lot of heavily concentration from the business school. Yeah, actually, one of my old mentors, back when I was in college, I worked at Best Buy, and I remember talking with him about, career development and growing as an individual. And he explained to me that every day he shows up to work and he expects to take something home with him. Not physically, he's not physically stealing stuff from the store, but he basically said he had to make sure that every day when he woke up and he came to work, that he would take something home with him. He would grow, take another step, or learn another lesson. And at the day that he wound up at home without anything extra than when he left, that's when he knew his time was up in that, developmental stage in his career. So, I sort of have the same opinion about our employees as well. I see every single person that comes in for a shift, is a different person leaving than when they showed up. They've improved their skills. They've learned a new objection handler. They've, made another connection with another person in the office. They've, even the prospects that we get to call, we're calling people all across the country. And so it's really cool to be located here centrally in College Station, Texas, but literally 1 hour we could be talking to someone, in a snowstorm in New York, and the other hour we could be talking to someone surfing on the beach in Hawaii. So there's just a lot of really cool real life experiences that you can gain. Again, that you're not just getting a paycheck out of the end of the day, but you're actually growing as an individual, or growing as a young professional.